Want to get to know this group here, the ones who made that ridiculous scene in Congress? Then come with me, because in this series, we're going to get to know each of these representatives one by one. This is the first episode of the Republic's Troublemakers, and we're starting off with a major troublemaker, Julia Zenata. And let's start with her main agenda. She's openly anti-vaccine. She was elected in 2022, and by 2023 she had already introduced a bill to end the mandatory COVID vaccination for children from 6 months to 5 years old. This year, she has already introduced 2 bills to remove the vaccination requirement for adults, even creating the crime of vaccine coercion and allowing parents to skip vaccinating their children with just a simple doctor's note. She even attended an anti-vaccine protest. Or sure, you sitting at home are paying 40,000 reais for a congresswoman to remove the vaccine requirement so your child can be left vulnerable to diseases that disappeared last century, right? Not to mention that by removing the vaccination requirement, it also removes the obligation to purchase vaccines. So, imagine going to the clinic wanting to vaccinate your child against a serious disease and not being able to because of Julia. And look at how well she uses your tax money, huh? She hired her lawyer's wife for a 40-hour work week in Brasilia, even though the woman is a nutritionist and works at her own clinic during business hours in Santa Catarina. How does she do both jobs? I don't know, but she claimed that she represents the congresswoman and works mostly on weekends. Just with that, more than 70,000 reais of our money has already gone into this nutritionist's pocket in salaries since last year. Julia also used her parliamentary allowance to pay for a daily rate to stay at her friend the congresswoman's wedding, okay? Even though it's a daily rate of 780 reais, she makes over 40,000, okay? She justified it by saying that in the 2 days before, she had appointments in the area. Her schedule is her friend's wedding, visiting a shooting club, and a tobacco shop, and you're the one paying for it, okay? Speaking of shooting clubs, she loves a gun, right? Very Christian, very conservative, really a good person. In fact, she's a fierce defender of freedom of speech, her own. The congresswoman is a champion when it comes to filing lawsuits against journalists. In other words, you can't criticize Julia, okay? She also wanted to prohibit Cananda, the highest authority for formulating and debating public policies for children and adolescents in Brazil, from discussing love. You can't talk about her. You can't talk about topics she doesn't like, but she defends freedom of speech, right? We're all for freedom, while she was there in Congress trying to force the country to do what she wants. To let a criminal, good-for-nothing ex-president off the hook. Congress didn't vote on and